Today on Public Eye News, a major recall of over 1.5 million Ford and Lincoln cars, and later Taekwon Cox will have a preview of the CCHA final, where the NMU Wildcats take on the Minnesota State Mankato Mavericks.
Beck Brearley will have your weather forecast for the weekend and a look at the wintercast as snow blankets the UP. Hi, I'm Emily Seven.
And I'm Michael Pettigee. And this is Public Eye News. If you have a Ford Fusion, Lincoln MKZ from the years 2013 to 2018, your car has been recalled. The Ford recall totals about 1.5 million cars. The recall is for a leaky brake hose and windshield wiper arms that can be broken. Safety regulators said that the brake hose can leak brake fluid, increasing the amount of time it takes to slow down and brake. Notification letters will start getting mailed on April 17th, and dealerships will be the ones replacing those hoses, and a second letter will be sent out when parts are ready to replace the faulty ones. Those that are already experiencing problems, though, can get their hands on parts already. Ford says that only 2% of cars will experience problems. And a new judge will be sworn in this Friday to oversee the grand jury investigation of former President Donald Trump. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg will be replacing the current Chief Judge Beryl Howell. Boasberg held a federal bench position in 2012, as well as being a presiding judge in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Boasberg will be the overseeing grand jury measures in addition to sealed disputes brought by the recovery of hundreds of classified documents at former President Trump's Florida estate. Special counsel Jack Smith is also investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The outcome of these disputes are still to be determined.
And tonight, critically acclaimed band Hippocampus will be performing at the Northern Michigan University Vandement Arena. Organized by Northern Arts and Entertainment, the concert will be headlined by Hippocampus, who are fresh off the release of their EP, LP3. The show will also feature openers Lisa Heller and student artist Lillian Presnell Manceau, known as LPM. Manceau performs shows around the Marquette area, and as an NMU student was offered the chance to perform with the hit band. Public Eye News spoke with Manceau, who said she thinks it's going to be a great show from all three acts. Doors are at 7 p.m. and tickets can be purchased at nmuticketing.org. And Idaho Senator Mark Crapo worries about the precedent that comes from insuring past the FDIC $250,000 mark in the Silicon Valley and Signature Bank collapse. Virginia Senator Mark Warner asked in a hearing with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen about where regulators were in this historical collapse. President Biden has insisted that the money that will be used to make depositors whole will not be a burden felt on taxpayers. Senator Sherry Brown of Ohio compared the bank failure to that of the East Palestine train derailment, with both the banking failure and the derailment being attributed to deregulation that was lobbied for by the industry. CBS News' Willie James Inman has more details from D.C.
1 week after a run on the bank caused Silicon Valley Bank in California to fail, the bank's parent company is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. SVB Financial says it's no longer affiliated with Silicon Valley Bank, following its takeover by the FDIC. The stock market opened sharply lower Friday, with investors dumping bank stocks following the failures of SVB and Signature Bank in New York, and concerns over other regional banks. Thursday, 11 of America's largest financial institutions agreed to shore up First Republic Bank with $30 billion.
The JP Morgans and the Morgan Stanleys and the bigger banks here gave a lifeline to FRC. Is that a long-term solution? I don't think so.
Investors may be nervous, but the government is trying to reassure Americans that the banking system is working and their money will be protected.
Our banking system is sound and that Americans can feel confident that their deposits will be there when they need them.
But Secretary Yellen's testimony did little to change the opinion of many Republicans on Capitol Hill, who blame President Biden for rising inflation and interest rates.
This administration has a great deal of responsibility for the bank failures that we had.
Democrats blame the rollback of regulations during the Trump administration for the bank failures. Regulations backed by Republicans and about a dozen Democrats. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
Beck Brearley will be back with your weather report, and I'll be back with your national news after this break.
Meet the newest Irish music sensation, Trinity. Don't miss Trinity, classically Irish.
Tonight at 9 on WNMU-TV.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Beck Brearley, and today I'll be talking to you about the weather. Looks like we have some nasty clouds and we can expect some more snow this weekend, so winter sports enthusiasts, be warned. Our current temperatures across the UP. Starting off in Houghton, we can see some clouds with a high of 16. Clouds all across the UP, as we can see in Ironwood with a high of 14. Down Iron Mountain, we have a high of 25, and down Menominee, it looks like we have a high of 31. Over in Escanaba, we have a high of 28 with some snowy conditions. In Manistee, a high of 24. In Sault Ste. Marie, we can see some more snowy conditions with a high of 29. And back in our lovely Marquette is a high of 21 and snowy. Currently, it is snowy with a high of 21, with winds from the west-northwest at 10 miles per hour, with a barometric pressure of 29.44 and rising. Tonight, we can see some more snowy conditions with a low of 14 degrees and winds out of the west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we can see some more snowy conditions with a high of 23, a low of 18, and winds out of the north at 9 miles per hour. Looking ahead, this Sunday, we have a high of 39 degrees with some sunny conditions and a low of 23. This Monday, we can see some more sunny conditions with a high of 31 and another low of 23. And this Tuesday, a high of 31 with some cloudy conditions and a low of 27. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Beck, for that weather report. The International Criminal Court has finally decided that they're going to prosecute war crimes, and today they issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin. The warrant is for the illegal deportation of children and the illegal transportation of children from occupied parts of the Ukraine to the Russian Federation. Another arrest warrant went out to the Commissioner for Child's Rights, who works in the office of the Russian president. The ICC does not have its own police force to enforce the warrants, so it's up to the global community to enforce them. The Russians do not recognize the ICC, with a Kremlin spokesperson saying the decision is legally void. And New Zealand is on the forefront of global issues, banning TikTok from government phones. The ban will go into place at the end of the month and will affect about 500 people, those in Parliament. Other New Zealand agencies can ban TikTok if they want, but they don't have to impose bans if they don't want to. Concerns have been growing with more serious bans here in the United States and Britain, as TikTok is owned by a Chinese company which can then share browsing history, location, and biometric identifiers with the Chinese government. New Zealand's Prime Minister says that he personally did not have TikTok on his phone, saying that he is not hip and trendy. And more details have come out surrounding the drone that went down over the Black Sea after being harassed by Russian jets. CBS's Ed O'Keefe has more.
The footage shows Russian jets making two passes from behind the drone, dousing it in a cloudy stream of fuel before one clips its propeller. Separate still images show what the drone's propeller looked like before and after, the damage forcing American operators to let it glide down into the Black Sea. The visual evidence appears to refute Russia's claims that neither of its jets hit the drone.
We felt that it was important to provide this imagery.
One U.S. official tells CBS News it was clear the Russian pilot meant to drench the drone in gasoline, but cut it too close. Nora O'Donnell spoke with the Navy's top officer for 60 Minutes this Sunday.
How often do these types of dangerous maneuvers happen with the Russian military?
We are operating in close proximity to the Russians fairly often, and the vast majority of those interactions are safe and they're professional. But what happened with that drone over the Black Sea was unsafe, and it was unprofessional, and it was in violation of international law.
CBS News has learned the Russian pilots weren't going rogue, but following orders from military leaders to harass the drone. Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio today suggested giving the unmanned drones wingmen.
I think our response should be to fly more of these in that area and to potentially have them escorted by U.S. fighter jets who are manned and have the capability to respond.
But White House officials said that would bring great risk to American pilots and potentially escalate the crisis. Some of the drone wreckage found along the surface of the Black Sea was recovered today by Russian ships, but they've since left the area because it's within missile range of Ukrainian forces. Now, there have been questions about whether this incident over the Black Sea was an isolated incident, and today, the head of U.S. Central Command told senators it isn't, that in the last 2 weeks, the U.S. has seen similar unsafe, unprofessional Russian Air Force flights over American bases near Syria. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, the White House.
After this break, Taekwon Cox will have your sports recap. Stay right there.
Performing with an incredible lineup of special guests, join Irish sensation Daniel O'Donnell. It's Daniel O'Donnell and special guests.
Tonight at 10:30 on WNMU-TV.
Hello, I'm Taekwon Cox, and welcome back to Public Eye News, and this is Public Eye Sports. The NMU's hockey team is coming off a very impressive road win in Houghton into tomorrow's CCHA final. The NMU's Wildcats will take on the Minnesota State Mavericks tomorrow night at 7:07 in Mankato. Minnesota is also coming off a dominating win, defeating Ferris State 7-2. Coming into the game, the NMU's hockey team is tied second in the nation in shorthanded goals and third in face-off win percentage. The two teams have matched up twice in postseason history, which has resulted in a 1-1 record. So tomorrow will be a tiebreaker to remember. With the Mason Cup on the line, NMU need to win to make the national NCAA round of 16 tournament. And Northern Michigan's football team is set and ready to take on their spring ball practices. I spoke to head coach Shane Richardson, and he said that they are allowed 15 practices this spring while maintaining a 63-man roster. The coaching staff is almost full as they hired new receivers coach DeAndre Riddick, who recently coached at Kentucky Wesleyan College. The team has officially signed 12 recruits out of high school, with a few Division I transfers also joining the team this upcoming season. The last time the football team won a national championship was in 1975, but with their great talent surrounding all around, Coach Richardson and his team hopes to make a run at the national championship this year. And March Madness brackets have started, and after day one, there are a few teams that are upset about the results of the scoreboard. 14-seeded Furman knocks off 4-seed Virginia, and 15-seeded Princeton defeated number 2 seed Arizona. There were 658 people who predicted that to happen, as those are the only lucky people to still have a perfect ESPN bracket out of the 20 million that's had one. According to CBS Sports, 96% of people predicted Arizona to win their first game. The March Madness games continues this week as a lot of teams hope to prove to fans why they should have been chosen to win the tournament. And that's it for sports. Back to you, Emily.
Thank you, Taekwon. I have a little bit of local news for you today. On Thursday, March 23, the author of Winter Counts will be visiting NMU for a question and answer session at the Northern Center. Winter Counts won the New York Times Editor's Choice Award, as well as a Best Book of 2020 by NPR. The novel will be discussed by David Heska Wanbley-Whedon, the author, at 7 p.m.
What a great St. Patrick's Day is going to be today. All right, that's all we got for you today. Thanks for watching Public Eye News. I'm Taekwon Cox.
I'm Emily Seven.
And we will see you next time.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.